Welcome to DFS Insights. I am David G, joined here by my cousin and co-host, also David G. We are here to help you with your Monday Night Football single game FanDuel lineup construction. We're going to cover a few stats that we find important and both give you two player picks that we think will help enhance your lineups and get them over the hump and into the money. So David, how'd you fare tonight in the Millie Maker over on DraftKings?
Yeah, no, did pretty well. The slate kind of turned out okay. I didn't expect Kamara to have 97 touchdowns going into this, so that was a big killer there. I did have him in one, but the one that actually placed didn't have him in it. But it did have Daniel Jones, and I stacked it with Neighbors. Unfortunately, did the run back with McLaurin. Thought he would catch something, but apparently Daniels didn't go with my game script. He went with his own or in his team. So with that, how did you end up? I only ended up making a few bucks this week. So
Yeah, I only did a couple of lineups in the Millie Maker. I was not profitable there, but fortunately in the single game on FanDuel for the Sunday Night Football with the Bears versus Texans, I was profitable there. So
yeah,
I'm really
I shot myself in the foot with that game. I won a few of my lineups on the single game, but the I thought I'd try to get clever with going with the Valaris Jr. or something for the Bears, thinking that he had a few targets last matchup, and he ended up getting benched. Coach's decision,
yeah.
unfortunately, so that didn't pan out all that well. So played myself there, but did end up winning a little bit and lose another one. So, but yeah, no, glad to hear that you did good there, and we just came off the UFC as well. Ended up,
Yeah.
you did pretty well there. Unfortunately, 8 out of the 10 fights ended a decision. So
Yeah.
we'll cover that in 2 weeks when the next UFC fight is. But with that, let's go ahead and get into this Monday night game here. So moving on, who's it going to be? The Dirty Birds Falcons versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles coming in as the 5.5 point favorites. 46 over under there. So not a bad scoring game there. Looking at the snap count for Philadelphian Falcons from the first week, it's Philadelphia 78 snaps, crazy, and that was against my Green Bay. Thank you very much. And and the Falcons coming in with that just 56. They played the Steelers, little tough defense there. So, but if you look at both these teams, they're probably the more evened out approach when it comes to running and passing. Falcons sitting here 41.1% run plays, 58.9 passing. Philadelphia's coming in at 46.1 run plays, 53.9. If you look at our previous Millie Maker breakdown, we show every run percentage pass play. I mean, they're typically about 60-30 ish. There's 58, 65 pass plays, and then the rest is running. But these teams typically about, I would say 50-50. So keep that in mind when you're doing those lineups. And huge news, thank God we know this now because that would have been a headache. A.J. Brown
Yeah.
is officially out. So that has been confirmed. So keep that in mind. So anything to, add on here before we get, to our players that the audience should be aware of?
Yeah, just I did notice that the Atlanta Falcons, I do believe, have a couple of their defensive backs out. So keep that in mind as well. I do not know them by name, unfortunately, quite yet, but I know one of their starting DBs is injured. So keep your eye on the defense because Atlanta's defense is ranked in the top 15, and that would be pretty big. That'd be pretty big for Philadelphia's receivers coming in. So let's go ahead and hop on over to our first players. Should I start us off?
Yeah. Well, we'll see what you got. Yeah, we typically before we get to our players here, let's hit that like, subscribe, notification bell. We're trying to build up this community. Foster winning everybody winning. I love to win. I'm sure everybody loves to win. The more information we put out, the better odds. We can just put ourselves in a good spot to get lucky. So, with that,
Yes, sir.
David's gonna give you his two top plays. I'm gonna give you my two top plays, or plays that we like, I should say. Not
Yeah.
necessarily these are 100% locks, but we will be probably having these in our lineups, as we do like these particular players. We don't really talk about the players beforehand, so we could typically might have every once in a while the same player, and then that just kind of means that player might even be even more of like a lock, if we're both kind of thinking of the same one. So, all right, now
Yeah.
without further ado, who do you got?
So, this probably will come as no surprise, but I'm going to go ahead and rock with Saquon Barkley, the Philadelphia Eagles' newly acquired running back. He absolutely crushed it in week 1 against your Green Bay Packers,
Thanks.
who we all we all know don't have the greatest running defense. So, it was great. He had an amazing game. I have him here as the MVP play or utility coming in at the 13.5K salary. He is a dual threat running back. I do understand he is more of the I'm going to run you over running back than he is the pass catching type of running back. But he did have one receiving touchdown and two rushing touchdowns last week. So to me, that would be considered a dual threat. He had 24 rushing attempts on 109 yards. He scored 35.2 fantasy points in week 1. And with no A.J. Brown coming in this week, I could see them looking to run a little bit more. And with him having such a breakout game in week number 1, he could see a couple more receiving targets as well as a couple more rushing attempts. So I really like Saquon Barkley coming in here. The 13.5K seems pretty low to me. What are your thoughts on Saquon this week?
I mean, obviously, I like Saquon. Just looking here at the run defense for the Falcons, they're not too bad, coming in about eighth, based on week 1 performances. So not too bad, but like you mentioned, a few of their even I know there might be DBs, but that kind of still puts kind of holes in their defense. So even in the run. So with that, yeah, I can definitely see him. Do I see him catching a whole lot of passes? No. Last week he only ended up with 2 catches. Keeping in mind one of them was for a touchdown. But yeah, but I think he's going to be utilized quite a bit. And like I said, Philadelphia is one of those teams that does run a lot. My only concern is that it doesn't. It looks like Hurts is kind of leaning away from that running aspect. He's being more of a quarterback. So I kind of like that. That gives Saquon, the chances to get those, 3-4 yard touchdowns and not have necessarily Hurts.
Yeah,
Tush. Unless it's a tush push, then we're kind of SOL there. But so hopefully it's
yeah.
outside the 1 yard line. He gets the ball. So yeah, no. Other than that, I do like him. He's going to be probably super chalky. The
Yeah,
ownerships weren't up on the sites that I utilized there, but I can easily see him being 30 plus in both MVP and utility.
I agree with you there. It's the chalk that I'm definitely willing to eat for the Monday night game. So I did take that into consideration. Jalen Hurts did have 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles in week 1. So, you know, I know he's trying to get the fumbles under control because last season he fumbled a lot,
Yeah.
and I think handing it off to Saquon, it'll be in a little bit better hands. So, anyway, who do you got here for your first play of the week for Monday night?
For first play, I'm gonna stick on the same side of the ball here. So I'm gonna go Mr. Dallas Goedert. I like him coming in at 9,500 salary. I do have him. I put risky here at the MVP. I do like him as coming in probably maybe the top. I want to say top catching because they have Devontae Smith, but I think Goder's going to be heavily utilized. Looking back at Week 1, he had 5 targets, 4 catches for only 31 yards. However, that was basically third on the team in receptions. A.J. Brown had 10 targets, Devontae Smith had 8. So I can clearly see his target share going up with Brown out. So with that makes him obviously more utilized. Do I see him maybe outdoing the running backs? Probably not. But so
Yeah.
he's going to be definitely low owned at MVP. So if you're a person that does 150 plus lineups, definitely throw a couple of Goedert in the MVP just in case. So, like I mentioned, week 1 he went 4 for 5, 31 yards. His opponent's defense covers 69.8, so not that bad, but also not that great. I projected his ownerships. There's nothing was available tonight. To kind of give you guys what insights behind the curtains there. But my projection for the utility is going to be about 18 to 22%, and his projections according to the sites are about 8.759 fantasy points. So, what do you think about Mr. Goedert here?
Yeah, that's fair. I do at MVP, definitely risky, definitely low owned. I would imagine he'd be 4% or under at the MVP spot. So that would be a risky move. And I'd only do that if I was putting in over 50 lineups, which I typically do not. I stick around the 20 to 25. That's just me, and I hand build all of my lineups. As far as the flex position, I do really like him there. The 9.5K salary definitely helps you get to some of the higher salary players, so I could see definite upside for him, knowing that AJ Brown is going to be out of the game. So, yeah, great pick there. Again, I would be more adept to put him at the flex position. So for my second pick, I guess we could go ahead and hop over to that one. I'm going to be going to the other side of the ball now. The Atlanta Falcons, Mr. Ray McCloud the third.
Ray McCloud. You just picking him because you were the 49er.
Call me biased, but he is an ex 49er. Now, let's not get it twisted here. He did get 7 targets in week 1 versus Pittsburgh. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, dude, a guy that's 7K and got 7 targets, salary saver who I could definitely see exceeding value. I believe he caught, only 4 of the passes out of the 7. Um, However, Cousins they struggled in week 1 against Pittsburgh. I could see this game being a lot more of a shootout for sure, especially with AJ Brown being out. That's just huge for the Eagles. He's their deep ball threat. I do like Devonta Smith. Again, I know I'm talking about the Eagles here, but I'm talking about how I see the game playing out. I have on there maybe playing from behind, so the team would be passing more. The more I think about it now, after seeing that on the graphic, I think this might be a little bit more of a shootout. So if it is, I could see the targets, being up there around the 8, 9, 10 targets. And at 7K, that's all you can ask for are the targets. And I could see Ray bringing it in and possibly also getting a touchdown. So at the 7K, it's just going to open up a lot for what you can do in the rest of your lineups. I only would play him in the flex spot. I'm not going to be putting him in the MVP. There's just too many other players that I trust in MVP over Ray. So what are your thoughts on Mr. McCloud the third?
Yeah, no, I like him. I'm going to be curious if that's who they're. I don't think that's necessarily their number one. I think obviously he was the number one in week 1. He did, like you mentioned, get 7 targets, 4 catches, 7 targets, 52 yards. Didn't end up with the touchdown. However, Atlanta has Drake London, who I believe is their actual number one. He ended up with 2 catches for 3 targets, and then they also have Darnell Mooney, who we'll talk about here. Give sneak peek into who my last pick is, but yeah, I think that 7K is obviously kind of a double-edged sword. He is going to probably exceed his value, but on the other side of that, I'm pretty sure the people that are going to be in this 100K to first, I'm assuming it's 100K to first one. Yeah, it is 100K to first.
Yeah.
The people that play the 150 plus lineups, they're going to be heavily owned on Mr. McCloud here too. So will you really get as much leverage as you think? So that's why I'm kind of hoping, people do see what you saw. Hey, the 7 targets, this guy's going to get a 7K. And then I hope, he has a bad game. So that way,
Yeah.
that ownership, I can be playing this as a leverage on it because I think, obviously if he does well, that's going to be great. But I think Drake London might have a game, and so will Mooney. Not to mention, I think Kyle Pitts is also in there as well, and he's the one
Yeah,
that leads the
I like
touchdown.
I like Pitts a lot. I was torn between Ray and Pitts as my pick here. So if I had a third pick, it would be Pitts.
Yeah,
So
but yeah,
call
Pitts at 10K. That's you got to think about that too.
yeah, for 100%. All right, well, right on. So Ray might be a little over owned, as you said, as people are going to game log troll and see the 7 targets, see the 7 fantasy points, and assume that he is going to exceed value and that he is not their number one wideout. I believe he's number 2 or number 3 even,
He's number
and
three. I'm
so
assuming
that's
based on name.
yeah, same here. I would assume he's number 3, but maybe during training camp, maybe Cousins
Yeah.
feels good throwing it to him. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. And going into week 2, I'm just gonna rock with who I saw him throw the ball to, arguably the most. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so with that, basically going in here to my last pick, it's basically kind of this literally about the same how you're seeing Ray there. I'm seeing Darnell Mooney. I think he is the number 2 coming in. I think his ownership will be slightly lower, and it is only 1,000 pay up. He is an 8K. He's projected 7.21. I'm projecting his ownership in the 20 to 25 range. The defense for the Eagles, they did, kind of get lit up by Green Bay. Unfortunately, Green Bay's defense just couldn't hold them. So, still a little salty on that. But 64.1. So that's not that great. He only ended up with 1 catch, 3 yards for 15. 1 catch, 3 targets at a 15 yards. So I'm hoping people game log troll that, see, oh, this guy's a bum. And, obviously he has the name recognition. I recognized him, Old Bear, as you can see in the photo here. So I believe he has potential upside as well. So they're basically the same exact way you saw Ray. That's how I see Mooney for this particular matchup. What do you got here
right on.
before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that pick a lot. I'll be going back and forth between Ray and Mooney to mix it up in my lineups. And as you mentioned, I think him being at the 8K and seeing the 1 catch on the 3 targets, that will keep his ownership down compared to someone like Ray. So that might be the pivot, as you're saying. Yeah, I like that play a lot. So yeah, let's wrap this baby up.
Nice, yeah. So those were our 4 picks there. So just keep in mind, also drop it down in the comments who if you need any extra advice on any of the players that you guys think hey, that we didn't mention. We do research on the full slate, obviously, and do our whole lineups and everything. So we do research, and more than happy to share our thoughts, opinions, takes or whatever on any player that we didn't mention. We just basically like to do two to kind of keep these videos short and sweet, even though this one I believe is a slightly longer than we like to keep them. But with that, please subscribe, hit that notification bell. It does help out the channel a lot. We're here covering single game FanDuels, typically do Monday night, and it definitely will be Monday night next week too, because I don't feel like covering the Jets. I think it's like the Jets
Yeah,
and another I forgot who it was. It's a
some other
terrible.
bum team.
Yeah, it's a terrible,
The
terrible Thursday.
Patriots, I
Yeah,
think.
Jets
Pretty
Patriots.
sure.
We're not
Yeah.
covering that game. And we also do the Millie Maker for NFL, DraftKings, and as well UFC. UFC's off this week, so a little bit of extra time to research that Millie Maker. So make sure you tune in. So we're going to be doing a slate there or a video on that. So with that, good luck. I hope we start getting these W's here for ourselves as well as the community members. And if you do win, make sure you come back and drop that in the comments as well. So David, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
Nope, that'll do it. Good luck to everyone out there. Hope you guys make that money, and we'll see you guys on the next video.